This is my serious face, because it's just been all fun and games up until now, hasn't it? Kaido is a duck, Arlong's gonna go start a bakery, Don Krieg is gonna go start a bakery, Kuro is going to go start a bakery. Many hypothetical bakeries later. Gaimon's gonna go start a bakery. Sorry, excuse me, I need some water. Oh yeah, on top of that, there's also going to be a giant metal armored crab that's going to appear out of the water and help Luffy defeat Kaido. Yeah, all fun and games. By the way, if you finally want the giant robotic crab, go read the Hunters Guild Red Hood Chapter 6. A lot of people shared that with me, thank you so much. And go read Red Hood. It's a really good series, and it's only up to 6 chapters, so you can get caught up really quick. It seems like something that's going to have a really good run in Shonen Jump. But it finally understood what it means to be a shonen manga, and that is to have a giant armored crab in your lineup. Absolutely. Alright, but no. We have to have a serious discussion now on who is actually going to defeat Kaido. Is it going to be the Rubber Band Man? The Doctor Guy? Magnet Kid? The literal mythical werewolf of legend? No, of course not. None of those characters even have a chance. As the old saying goes, you gotta fight fire with fire. That's why whenever your house becomes a flame, who do you call? The Waterman? No, you call the Fireman. Just like Ace. He'll tell you that much. Well, okay, Ace didn't really fight fire with fire, he fought magma with fire. That was his one mistake. If Ace ever made one mistake, that was it right there. But no, okay, so you gotta fight fire with fire. That means if Kaido is a giant dragon, you also have to fight him with a dragon. Now, good news, the rebellion does have a dragon on their side. Bad news, it is not a giant dragon, it's a relatively tiny little dragon. However, it's okay, because we also have a magical kunoichi that has the ability to make the little dragon a giant dragon, and that's where we left off in the last chapter of One Piece, chapter 1021, with Momo approaching Shinobu as they are on the shore of Wano. Onigashima's looming ahead, heading toward the flower capital. Luffy is, gorging himself on all of the food that Caribou brought, but right before that, Luffy asked Momo if he could turn into a dragon, and he's going to have to be the one to bring them back up to Onigashima so Luffy can punch Kaido in the face right proper, okay? Now, Momo is obviously a little bit intimidated by this because, yes, he has a little bit more control over his dragon form than he did in his original, appearance, and that makes sense because when Momo first appeared at Punk Hazard, that was literally like a day or so after he ate the fruit to begin with, and it was an artificial zone. Even if it was a regular zone, he might not have, perfect control over it. Like, remember when Kaku first ate his giraffe zone at Eni's lobby? He was able to fight with it because he was a trained assassin, but he really couldn't control, shifting between his hybrid giraffe and his full giraffe form. So even with regular zones, it takes a little bit of a learning curve to get used to it, and this was an artificial devil fruit deemed a failure by Vegapunk, so it would make a lot of sense that when Luffy first met Momo in the trash compactor, he didn't really know how to change his form. I think at this point, Momo at least has that much down. Under moments of extreme stress and anxiety, he will just turn forms without, knowing it. But if he really concentrates and focuses, he can turn into a dragon pretty much whenever he wants. Now, that's not the major issue. Even as Momo as he is right now, they would probably be able to get back up to Onigashima. It might take a lot out of Momo. He turns into a dragon, summons his clouds. Onigashima's really high up there, okay? Luffy can fly in a little bit of his own capacity using Gear 4th. A lot of people have said, well, maybe, it's so high up that wouldn't work, or, even if it did, Luffy doesn't want to burn through Gear 4th that much because he has to save that to fight against Kaido, so that's why he asked Momo to do it. Shinobu has a kite, but once again, that's just a kite for, gliding. It doesn't have propulsion. Maybe they could have Jean Bart, pick them all up and, he just throws them in Onigashima. Maybe that would work. I don't really know. But no, this is going to be Momo's moment, okay? And so he approaches Shinobu and he says, hey, listen, can you use your mature fruit, the ripe no jutsu, in order to age me up so I'm an adult, so I'll be able to become a larger dragon, so I can help everybody out during this fight. Now, Shinobu does confirm that she can indeed do this with her ability. It was a little ambiguous before this because she only used her ability to age or mature inanimate objects or the ground or the soil or walls and buildings and stuff like that. It was kind of debatable whether she could do this with living things. And so yes, she can, but she says she doesn't want to do it because this is not oh, okay, I snap my fingers and you're an adult and I could snap them again and turn you back into a child. No, you're you're stuck like that, okay? I'm literally effectively taking years off of your life, which is probably the reason Shinobu doesn't do this very often. It's kind of like a forbidden technique for her, because you are shaving lives away. I mean, I would imagine, like, let's say Momo would naturally live to be 80 years old, okay? And so he's 8 right now. If Momo ages him up to 28, the 20 years that, they time skipped, would those 20 years add on to the end of his lifespan so he would live to be 100? Or would he still live to be about 80? Because that's the major issue you got to think about there, okay? You might be just taking lifespan away from him, okay? And so that's the reason she's concerned about it. And she also brings up, though, that, like, yes, your body would become that of an adult and you might be able to fight. However, that isn't going to make you more mature. That isn't going to take away the fear that you feel during this battle. Momo, of course, is crying. He's upset. He's scared, especially when they were falling from Onigashima and dealing with Kaido. Yes, he had the moment of bravery where Kaido directly told him, like, if you tell me you're a member of the Kozuki family, if you look me in the face, and if you tell me that you're Odin's son, then I'm going to execute you right here where you stand, okay? Because I cannot have another member of the Kozuki family survive in my new pirate paradise. But I'll tell you something, kid. If you can look me in the face and tell me that you're not Odin's son, then I'll just let you go. Because a coward, I have no fear from a coward, right? So, Momo had an out. He had a moment right there. And this is also very similar to the scene where Ulti had Nami dead to rights. And Ulti said to Nami, like, if you admit that your captain is not going to become king of the pirates, I'll let you go. And Nami, even though she knew she was about to die, she said Luffy will become the pirate king. And the same thing there with Momo. It's like there's a certain line you do not cross in One Piece, and that's the line right there. It's just like, no, even if it means giving up my life, I will not lie about my captain becoming king of the pirates. That's too important. And the same thing with Momo. Momo was like, no, my father is Kozuki Oden. He was the one that, fought you, and he was defeated, and this is his legacy, and that's why we're all here fighting today. If I was up here on this scaffolding, and I told everybody I'm not really Odin's son, nobody could follow me in the rebellion. That's another thing, too. Like, if Momo would have done that, that might have really hurt the morale of everybody in the hall. To be like, because that's the whole point of, like, having Momo as the shogun after this is all over. That was the goal that everybody had. That's why everybody bowed to Momo at the prison and everything, right? So Momo, even if he's only 8 years old, might have realized how important that is, and so he kind of like sucked it up at that moment, and he's like, I am the son of Odin Kozuki. I am Momonosuke Kozuki. And so Kaido's just like, all right, brat, you wanted this, you asked for it. And then the scabbard showed up, and Sanji saved Momo and everything like that there. So he's had moments of bravery, but overall, it's a very terrifying experience for him. Absolutely. So, in this situation, though, I'm actually really happy. This is something that a lot of people theorized was going to happen, at least a possibility that Shinobu was going to use her ability to age up Momo into adulthood. But I'm actually really glad that Momo does not think that, becoming an adult is magically going to make him confident or take away all the fear that he felt, okay? He understands this. It's much more from, like, a practical standpoint of, like, look, Kaido is a giant dragon. I have dragon powers, too. If only I was a larger dragon, I might be able to actually help in this fight, okay? And so it's a drastic measure, and Shinobu acknowledges this. So I think this is the reason why Shinobu is going to go ahead with this, if Momo is approaching this from a much more, like, mature perspective of, like, okay, we need to defeat Kaido. If Kaido wins, we're all dead, right? Like, we're all dead. That's just how it is, Luffy and Kid and Law and all the members of all the crews and the samurai, like, we're just dead if he wins, okay? So, drastic times call for drastic measures. If me becoming an adult and turning into a giant dragon helps at least a little bit, like tilts that scale slightly, we gotta take it, okay? Even if it means giving up 20 years of my life. I think he's approaching this from a very mature perspective, and I think with that being the case, Shinobu will kind of be like, alright, I know I was supposed to protect you, I was given this job by the Scabbards, and your father, I'm kind of like a de facto member of the Scabbards, basically. I fought with the Scabbards, 20 years ago and everything like that. Maybe Shinobu will have this moment where she looks at Momonosuke and sees, like, the image of Odin. Like, oh, you're just like your father. Okay, well, if this is really what you want and you're you're approaching it from this perspective, not a perspective of like you'll magically become, you know, super, you know, confident and everything. If you're approaching this from this perspective, okay, I can use my power. Now, questions. Questions involving this. The one I brought up in the review was quite simple. Like, you know, if Momo is turned into an adult, you might be picturing somebody very similar to Odin, right? Because Momo is Odin's son, so Odin was like super buff, and he's really strong, and he's got the swords, and he can like slice mountains apart and everything like that. Would that be like how Momo looks at age 28? Well, I would say that if Momo trained for 20 years in swordsmanship and weightlifting and everything like that and got super buff, eventually, yeah, he would be like Odin. However, we're skipping over 20 years here. We're just like snapping our fingers and like, boom, Momo's 28 years old. So if that's the case, like, he hasn't trained, he hasn't done anything. So if this is just how the ability of the ripe fruit works, just ages you up that way, then Momo would be like super scrawny and everything like that, because he really has no training in between. However, it is anime logic we have to think about here, so maybe the power of the fruit is not necessarily just aging you up as you are now, but it's basically like, okay, all of the training and all of the experience that you would have gained, at least physically, over the course of 20 years, you have when you're 28. So think of it like the way that Gon was aged up in Hunter x Hunter, okay? When Gon, and I know Nen is very, very different with, you know, devil fruits and the way that this is going to happen, but the way that Gon did it is he made a contract, spoilers for Hunter x Hunter, by the way, Gon made this contract with basically like, I need all the power that I would ever accrue in my life, like right here and right now. And so with this ability, with this contract, with his Nen, Gon became an adult, but he was like a super muscular adult with hair the size of like a skyscraper, okay? And it's like all the training, all of the experience he gained through, you know, his decades of his life and all the potential he had was condensed in a single moment for him to fight against Pito, okay? So not the exact same thing, but her ability might be similar, where it's like, okay, you know, I'm going to age you up 20 years, you'll be 28 years old, and you will be as you would have been at actually age 28. Like, if you lived throughout your life and you trained and everything like that, at least physically. Like, emotionally, he would still be a child, but when it comes to his body, like, he'll be actually able to fight. Maybe that's another way of looking at it. That's how her ability actually works. It might be different when she uses it on inanimate objects versus when she uses it on living things, okay? So, I don't know. Once again, it's anime, because if it's taken realistically here in any capacity, we're talking about a magic ability that allows to, you know, age you or whatever, so it's already kind of goofy. But like, you know, if this was taken to the sense of like Momo's like scrawny, he can't really fight when he's an adult, then what good's it going to be? Like, you know, oh, okay, I can turn into like a skinny dragon and can barely fly because I haven't had any training with it for the last 20 years, right? You know, he wouldn't be any good at it, you know, then than he is now, right? So there's no point. So yeah, he'll probably look a lot like Odin. He'll turn into a giant dragon. Maybe not as giant as Kaido, but a larger dragon, and Luffy and probably all the other members of the Heart Pirates and Caribou and Shinobu and everybody will be able to, you know, fly on the back of the dragon, and they'll be able just to fly or use the clouds to fly directly up to Onigashima. And yeah, and if this also follows with the experience, maybe Momo will have better control over his dragon form. He'll be able to spew Boro breaths of his own and actually clash with Kaido and everything like that. It'll be a pretty badass scene. And it also served to just take everybody that's in Wano right now and get them back up to Onigashima, like, you know, all of Law's crew. I would like to see Jean Barton, you know, do some stuff up in Onigashima. That would be cool, right? Who else? That one member of the Heart Pirates that has the cool mask. It'd be cool to see what he can do. Yeah, let's roll with that. Okay, Beppo and everybody, and Sachi and Penguin, they're already up there, but Shinobu has to get up there. Caribou could definitely help out. If nothing else, Caribou could just go around providing provisions for everybody on the battlefield, or, you know, he could basically wipe out a large number of, like, the Beast Pirates at once, just opening up the swamp, everybody falls in, and he just closes it up. So, you know, Caribou would be very, very useful in this instance. So yeah, you know, Momo gets aged up, turns into a giant dragon, everybody hops on, and they go to Onigashima. Now, also, this serves as a way that perhaps at the end of the arc, you know, okay, Kaido is defeated, Big Mom is defeated or killed, or however that's gonna go, and you have a moment where it's like, okay, Now, who's going to be the new Shogun of Wano? Because Orochi, well, Orochi, as of we know right now, is dead, but then he came back, but then he died again. He's probably still alive, but he will be definitively dead at the end of this. And even if he isn't dead, like, Kaido will be taken care of, Big Mom will be taken care of. It'd be funny if they take care of everybody, like, literally everyone. Like, the Oniwabanshu is gone, Mimawari Gumi is gone, all of the Beast Pirates, all of the Tobiropo, all of the All-Stars, all of Big Mom's crew, 2 Yonko are dropped. And all that's left in all of Onigashima, the only enemy that remains, you know, all the other Beast Pirates that were turned by Tama's Dango ability, the only enemy is Orochi. And he's there, crying in a corner, all alone. Nobody is there. Nobody is an ally to him anymore. Nobody's gonna come and save him. And he's just crying in the corner like, I am Lord Orochi! Fuku Rokuju, come and save me! Oh, I just wet myself! Oh no, I am Lord Orochi! You know, like, and he's just crying like a baby. And then the rebellion just gather around him and just look at him, and they're just like, oh god, this guy is so pathetic. You know, but, like, let me tell you, if that was the case, that scenario that I just painted for you, verbatim, if that actually happened, would they just straight up kill Orochi? Like, he's in the corner, he's crying, you know, he's soiled himself, he's like, ah! You know, would they just take a sword and just... Zoro's like, I got this, just... And maybe a couple more just to be safe. You know, he's come back twice already. It's like, would they do that? Or would they lock him up in a cell? Or would they banish him? Or exile him from Wano? Or whatever the hell. You know, would they do that instead? I don't know. But after this is all over, you know, who's going to be the new Shogun? And if Momo is aged up, then, you know, he could just sit on the throne or whatever and become the next Shogun. There you go. I know some people also wanted, you know, Momo and Tama to become, like, the apprentice pirates aboard the Thousand Sunny, just like, you know, Shanks and Buggy were the apprentice pirates under Roger. You know, that could have happened too, but I really don't think that. I really think that, like, even regardless of whether or not Shinobu uses this ability on Momo, because she might not. She still might just be like, no, I'm not doing that, you know? I'm the one that has this ability. Trust in Luffy, trust in the others, and trust in your own power, Momo. Like, even though you are a little kid, you still have influence. You still have the ability to turn into a dragon. You can still help in this fight without actually directly fighting Kaido himself. That's another reason. Shinobu might be like, no, because if I turn you into an adult and you have the dragon powers, you're going to try to fight Kaido directly, and you might die. He might just rip your head off, and then I could never face Odin in the afterlife. I'm not doing this, period, you know? So she could always have that attitude. But yeah, like, you know, even if Momo is not aged into an adult, you know, I still think he's going to stay behind in Wano. I mean, you could say, you know, Hiyori could become the next Shogun. You know, it's like, well, you know, women cannot be Shogun. Yeah, well, it's a time for a new change in Wano. It's like a new era and everything after Orochi is defeated. So Hiyori could be the Shogun. Why not? She's at least spent, you know, like the 20 years in Wano and everything, and she knows the people and everything. But if Momo is aged up, then he could as well. So there you go. Or even if he's still a kid, he could just be the acting Shogun, like the figurehead or whatever, kind of like the Emperor was in, you know, feudal Japan, kind of more just a figure during the Edo period, and maybe Kinemon or some of the other scabbards could be like his advisors until his visors until he comes to age, and then there you go. So either way, this could work. But yeah, now if Momo turned into a dragon, I could see him wanting to use this power to try to fight against Kaido. Like, he might get a little bit too overly confident, right? Like, he's not actually, like, super confident, but he might think, like, I'm strong enough now to deal with him, and he's just not, alright? But who knows? Maybe he might, you know, deal some damage to him. That would be cool for Momo to launch, like, a Boro Breath or something, and it hits Kaido, and it doesn't really do a lot of damage, but it causes, like, a little burn on him, and he's just like, ah! Because it is his Devil Fruit. That's the crazy thing. Vegapunk extracted some lineage factor or DNA from Kaido to make the artificial devil fruit that Momo consumed. Okay, so it is in effect the same devil fruit, just copied. And Momo's abilities might not be as, like, prominent as Kaido's. Like, it might not be as strong because Kaido has the original, but Momo still has a copy. He could still do some damage to Kaido with it. And then, like, we see a really badass, like, Chinese dragon battle in the air, and then maybe Momo gets knocked down. Is like, even as an adult, I'm not strong enough. And that's when Luffy jumps in, like, that's why I'm here. Gamu Gamu no King Kong gun, you know, and then punches Kaido in the face, and then it really starts. You know, you need Conqueror's Haki to deal damage to him, Momo. oh god, how would that work, you know? I think when it comes down to hockey, it is really your willpower. It doesn't really matter how old you are. You know, we saw Ace being able to use Conqueror's hockey when he was a little kid, and then later in his adult years, Ace never really used Conquerors that much. Maybe because he, like, acknowledged Whitebeard was going to be the next king of the pirates, the next conqueror, and so he never really used it beyond that point when they were children, right? So I think it's really more of your state of mind for hockey. You know, maybe it's possible that, you know, Momo could awaken like a glimmer of it or something, especially if we're going the Gon route with it, where it's like, you know, you will experience all the training that you would have had in the last 20 years. So when he becomes an adult, he's like instantly like, I know how to use, you know, I know how to control my observation, and oh man, I could use armament. Now that would be a very, very cheap way of doing it. I'm not really sure how Oda's going to approach this, okay? But he has to fudge it a little bit just for Momo to be capable of fighting. Alright, so I would be okay if Momo is like, alright, I'm strong enough to fight, but I can't really use hockey because I didn't really train with it. And it's like, okay, I also know a little bit more about my devil fruit in the process of this, even though that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Whatever, just go along with it, right? Okay, so we'll see how Oda handles it, or if he even goes this route at all. There might be a life lesson along the way, like, oh, you don't have to change to be strong, or something like that, right? But anyway, that was the video, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and let me know in the comments down below what you think, you know, Momo is going to do, and, you know, if he does become an adult, like, how's that going to change the story, and how that's going to, like, deal with the battle with Kaido, and if he will become the Shogun at the end of the arc. Before I go, I do have a little bit of an announcement here. There's no Ant Facts, unfortunately. But this coming weekend, I'm actually going to be out of town. There's a family member that's very sick, so we're going to go visit them, and I'm going to be gone probably until, like, Monday. Now, I filmed 2 videos in advance for this. This was kind of short notice, so I filmed a One Piece video that'll be out tomorrow on Friday, and then a Bleach Theory video that will come out on Saturday. Sunday is the tricky day, though, because that's when the review comes out, the official Viz release, and I will not be able to film it on Sunday. So I apologize for that. There probably won't be any video on Sunday, but as soon as I get back, that'll be like the #1 thing I will get done as soon as I can, okay? I don't know if it'll be out Monday or Tuesday or how that's going to work, so I just ask that you have a little bit of patience, and I understand most people, like, you know, understand, because it is like a family kind of emergency, so thanks to everybody. But yeah, if you don't hear from me too much in the next few days, that's the situation. So yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking, this will be Barry, signing out. Have a good one, everyone.